Hi, my name is Jessica, and thank you for coming to Inform Your Community Celebrate and Create event. My name is Jessica, and my pronouns are she, hers. I am wearing, describe myself. I have reddish hair, short hair. I'm wearing a black top with a red scarf, and you can closed captioning is enabled, so you can turn it on as a participant. You can get more informed at visit informyourcommunity.org. You can also find us at the social media pages listed below. Tell your friends to sign up for an event at informyourcommunity.org. Of course, you can donate to the link that's on the right of the page. Chinese and Chinese Americans culture is an important topic for us to discuss because Lunar New Year is a Chinese holiday, January 22nd. Also, 3.5 million households in the United States speak Chinese, so it seems a good idea to learn more about Chinese culture. Sure. This event is part of Celebrate and Create, and where children are engaged in unique projects that inspire them to celebrate the theme of the month. Our facilitator, Ling, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your last name.
Ling Liang.
Ling Lang is an associate professor at LaSalle University, the Department of Education, and president of the Upper Dublin Chinese American Association in the greater Philadelphia area. We are honored to have her here to talk about the subject today with you. We are also grateful to Tyler to have us to moderate the tech and the chat, and to just be an overall good egg about doing all of that stuff. Throughout our craft, you can have questions and comments. Unmute yourself and talk or write whatever you want in the chat box. We would love to see your work in progress, so feel free to show it to your project by turning on your camera. Make it when it's complete. Stacy will help us with our craft today. Stacy, are you ready to roll?
I am absolutely.
What craft did you pick today?
So today we're going to be doing making a red envelope, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute, but let me just tell you a little bit about me. So I am a white female with salt and pepper hair, and I'm wearing a red shirt today, and I have a black background. My pronouns are she and her. and I'm thrilled to be here. And so I live by Chinatown in Manhattan, really close. I'm just a short walk away. And so all the time, not all the time, but when I go for Lunar New Year celebrations or folks I know who are Chinese, I would see red envelopes. And I was always so curious about these red envelopes that are around that are used for celebrations, not just for Lunar New Year, but also for other holidays and special occasions, birthdays and graduations. And I really wanted to pick this craft of this red envelope for the sentimental value and the beauty and the meaning behind it. So I thought the idea of this red envelope would be something wonderful to share with kids, and particularly to do it in a way that is reusable and can be kept. So we're going to be doing it in foam and felt, which I'll tell you more about. Foam or felt, we'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. But the idea is to have it as a keepsake and something that you can share for a long time is what we're going for here. And just so you know, you can see a close-up from me on the screen. And if you can't see that close-up of what I'm doing with my hands as a crafter, you might have to like swipe left or swipe right on your screen to make sure you've got that view in there as well, but you should be able to see it. And I'm so grateful to have Ling here. So thank you for coming aboard, Ling.
Thank you, Stacy. Thanks, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I'm so excited. Stacy, do you know the Mandarin and Cantonese name for these red envelopes?
No, I've been calling them red envelopes, and I kind of figured there had to be a more official name for these, perhaps. So what are they?
In Mandarin, they're called hongbao, red envelopes, hongbao. In Cantonese, they're called lacy. So these red envelopes usually contain money as a gift and symbolize best wishes and good luck, traditionally given to friends and family for celebrations. But like you, most people who aren't Chinese might be most familiar with seeing them during Lunar New Year. So, Stacy, what should we do first to get us started on our craft today?
Well, I'd love for us to check to make sure we have the right materials. And I know there's a bunch of folks on the call who have our kit that we mailed out in advance. And we mail our kits when you register in advance of the event, at least a week in advance of the event. Our kits go out for free. And we don't charge for shipping or for the event itself, which is great. But there's going to be folks on the call. We've got lots of people who registered after that deadline, which is fine because we share information about how to do the craft at home anyway, without our kit. And you can also find this video later on YouTube. And so you can like us and subscribe to us on YouTube as well. So if you have our kit, I'll tell you what it includes. And then after that, actually, you know what? I'm going to start if you don't have our kit, so that it'll give you a little bit of a chance if you don't have our kit to go look around. Okay. So if you don't have our kit, you want to have some kind of base for your envelope. So it could be foam or felt, ideally red or white, because white you could color in. So red or white, foam or felt. If you don't have that, don't worry. Red construction paper will work just fine. You'll be able to do the same craft the same way, basically, with red construction paper. And if you don't have red construction paper, loose leaf or copy paper will do absolutely fine because you'll be able to color them. So you want to have some kind of base for your craft, foam, felt, or some kind of paper. If you don't have red in that, then you're going to want to have some kind of crayon or marker so that you can color in whatever it is, either entirely red or with red accents. So I could recommend the white paper with a red marker or red crayon. Crayons will work better, or even colored pencils will work great because you'll be able to color it pretty quick. Also, I'll suggest that you want to have some buttons. The folks who have our kit had some buttons. So if you have some buttons at home, that would be great. but honestly, the buttons are optional. And oftentimes when I've seen red envelopes, they don't have any kind of decoration on them. They're pretty plain. Maybe just some Chinese characters, Mandarin characters. So, but you can make it more fancy with a button. So if you have a button, red, black, white, gold, silver, any of those will be perfectly fine. Try to find something with bigger holes. And Tyler, if you can put in the chat what I'm talking about, you can get it from our material, or you can just write it out as I'm saying it. That would be great. So red base, red or white base, and then red crayon or markers, and then what's next? Oh, buttons in a variety of colors: red, black, white, gold, or silver. Then the next item you might want, and you may or may not have it, is a hole punch. So you might have something that looks like this at home. You might have the kind that you press down on to put holes into paper. You might have a little one like this that's more for crafting. So a hole punch would be great. If you don't have that, don't worry, that's also optional. Again, that's more about if you're using the button. A pencil would be useful so that you can mark off where you have to cut. And let's see, string is going to be useful. I stay in the colors of red, black, silver, gold, white, pretty neutral colors to go with that red. But if you don't have string per se, any kind of thread, any kind of embroidery floss. And for those of you who don't know, embroidery floss is sometimes what's used for friendship bracelets. So if you have embroidery floss, that would work out just fine. Don't worry if it seems thick. We're going to fix that. But embroidery floss is fine. But any kind of thin thread of some kind, thin thread or string. Again, any of those colors. And if you have stick glue or white glue, so some kind of glue would be helpful. And then paper clips will help you tremendously. It could be any kind of paper clips, this kind or the clip kind are fine. 2 of those is what I recommend. And again, optional is if you have glitter. If you don't have glitter, it's not a problem at all, but it's a nice added touch. So Tyler is hopefully going to be writing those in the chat any minute if they're not already. Oh, there we go. Perfect. I knew that was coming. Tyler's right on top of it. But while those of you who don't have the kit, go out and look for things. I'm going to say what's in the kit. The only other thing to add to that list, Tyler, and this goes for everybody across the board, everyone needs a scissor. So if you want to go get a scissor right now, even if you have our kit, that is a good idea. You are going to need a scissor to make this kit. For those of you who do have our kit, let me tell you what was in there. Okay, so you got your kit. I'm opening it up. And of course, in your package that you got from us, you got your confirmation sign up about the event. You received a little flyer about our organization, and you received an infographic. Don't worry, you'll get this infographic also after the event by email. So if you want to share it with folks, if you didn't get a chance to read it, or if you didn't have our kit at home, anybody who registered for our event will get that infographic by email. And that infographic, of course, is about Chinese culture. And I'm sorry, I just looked shocked there for a second. I don't know if you saw it, but my cat just ran across as cats tend to do. So apologies for that. He wanted to get some camera time. So, okay. So in terms of our kit itself, though, you have your base. Do not remove this paper clip. Okay. So I understand some of you might have already. Sorry, my cat is coming back. So if you see whiskers, that's why. No animals were harmed in the making of this video. We love our cats dearly. So, okay. So if, apologies for that. Do not remove the paper clip. It's in a spot for a reason. You're going to want to keep it there. Okay. If you did remove your paper clip, what I want you to do is put it back. Okay. And the way you put it back is align the 2 dots that are, let me see, make sure it's in your screen here. Okay. Align these 2 dots with the 2 dots in the paper. Okay. And then put a paper clip back on. So if you did take it off, that's what you need to do to put it back on. You will also have 4 strips and 1, hold on one second. Here we go. And 4 strips, and in your little bag, you'll have 1 square. These are all the same material. So these are double-sided tape, believe it or not. It's a super cool thing that exists in the world. And basically, you can peel one side, you can peel the other side. Don't peel those yet, though. I just want to make sure you have them. Should have 4 strips and 1 square. We are not going to use all of the strips. You only need to do this craft, okay? But I gave some extra. And part of the reason I gave extra is because when you're done with the craft, in theory, you can actually turn your white template paper into another red envelope. So you have a few extra items so that you can make a second paper red envelope if you want to. Additionally, in your kit, you have some stickers, which are some lovely decorations. You have small, let's see, you have a, there we go, small sticker and a big sticker. I'm going to go ahead and open my kit. Here we go. Yeah, small sticker and a big sticker. Okay. You also have 2 types of button. One is a more plain button. You either have a square or a square or a round red button. And if I'm not getting these on the screen, somebody definitely let me know, but I'm trying to here. Okay. And you also have another button, and depending on what kit you have, it may be a star, maybe red or white. It may be multicolored with flowers on it. It could be made of wood or plastic. It could be a heart. It could be that's red or white. It could be flowers. So there were different varieties of what we sent out, but all of them are cute decorations and appropriate for the craft. And then you will have a string that you'll be able to use for this craft. We'll actually not use all of it, so you should have some left if you wanted to make that second one. And you have a bag of glitter. Okay, so those are the items you have in your kit. I will say, as far as your base for the craft, some of you will have felt and some of you will have foam. Truthfully, we weren't sure which one worked better for this craft, and we wanted to test out both. In future, we'll decide which one worked better. So if you have any feedback on whether you think foam or felt's a better idea, let us know. But we wanted to test out both. So some of you have felt, some of you have foam, but it will work equally fine for both of those. So that was a long way to tell everybody that we have all of these various ingredients for this craft. There's a lot going on there, a lot to kind of process. Let's see what's next. Ling, did you have anything you wanted to add at this point?
This looks great. I registered for the event, but I'm looking forward to receiving the kit.
Oh, I'm so sorry you didn't get yet.
Yeah.
So we sent them out all at the same time, but somehow different zip codes and sometimes kits take longer. So apologies to anybody who did not get their kit yet. You will get also a copy of this recording. And so you'll be able to do you'll be able to do the kit, the craft with the kit once you get it. Although I'm a little glad maybe that you didn't get it right now, because I think it's too much multitasking if you were going to try to do this while we were doing the craft. But I'm so glad you are going to get the kit. It is in the mail. And those of you who didn't get it, it is in the mail. You should be getting it soon. And apologies again if you didn't receive it. We're going to just try to send out those kits earlier. So we have, and make sure you have scissors. So while our family are gathering these materials, I'm wondering, Ling, do you have anything you could tell us just to give us some background on Chinese history?
I'll be happy to. Chinese history begins with the Xia dynasty, the first dynasty in China, sometime between 2100 to 1800 BC. Though that's so long ago, there's not much information about its existence. Then about 1,000 years later, around 770 BC and onward, began a key period in Chinese civilization, the age of Confucius, Taoism, and legalism, marked by war and advances in philosophy, science, agriculture, and literature. Have you ever heard of the terracotta soldiers?
Yes.
They're made
That's
about 500 years later in about 200 BC.
Can you imagine? I've only heard about them relatively recently, and just absolutely amazing, the skill and effort that it took. For those of you who haven't seen those, the skill and effort it took, I think there's something like 8,000 of these life-size soldiers that are from 2,000 years ago, that they say the artistry on each one is unique, that it had to be based, they think, on actual soldiers. So they're basically lifelike statues of presumably actual soldiers that existed at that time, which is just amazing. And they were only discovered, they've been around 2,000 years, and they were only discovered 50 years ago.
And yes, that's true. That's amazing. And of course, carving is something that is still in art today. For example, jade is a stone that is often carved or otherwise used in jewelry and art as a symbol of prosperity, preciousness, beauty, among other meanings.
It's lovely to hear about those things. I have a jade bracelet. I love actually a dear friend of mine who's involved with our nonprofit gave it to me. Speaking of art, though, I think probably our crafters out there want us to get started with the craft. What do you think, Ling? Should we get started?
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. So I mentioned that you're going to want to keep that paper clip in, and that's true. And this is why, because you're going to do some cutting. But the way we've sent this to everyone is that you're going to cut right through the paper. So you're actually going to be really cutting out the template for the paper and the foam or felt at the exact same time. Don't start yet, because there's a little bit of rules we have to follow. I want to make sure you all have scissors. While the people with the kit are doing it and I'm giving them instructions, I will then give instructions for those of you without the kit. So don't worry just yet if you don't have the kit. If you have the kit, here's what I want you to do. You're going to, don't do it yet, you're going to cut out what are essentially let me see the best way to show this to you. Can you guys see this? If I do this, let's see, here we go. I think that's better. Okay, so you're going to essentially cut out the four corners of the template, okay? So just the corners, it just turns out that two of the corners are rectangular shape. I'm sorry, this one's square shape, and the one on the bottom there is square shape. And then on the other side, they're rectangular shape and rectangular shape, okay? So that's what you're gonna cut out, and you're gonna cut it out through the paper, right through to the foam or the felt, okay? You have to hold on to this pretty tightly. The paper clip's going to keep it in place a little bit, but you're still going to want to hold on to this felt or foam really tightly, kind of close to where you're cutting, to make sure it doesn't shift too much. And one of the main things you want to do is make sure you do not cut out these two holes, okay? You have holes in your felt or foam. Make sure you leave enough room above them, okay? If you end up cutting them accidentally, there's not much we can do to fix it. You'll just end up having one that doesn't have a button, which is fine. Like I said, they don't have to be fancy. So here's what I want you to do. We're going to start with one of the small squares. Okay, so you're going to take small square and you're going to cut that out. See, you're going to watch me do it. And I'm holding kind of firm. And you can cut it whatever way is most comfortable for your hand. If you're left-handed, this is going to be a little bit different. You can just make it a square, frankly, or you can make it a little curved if you want, but that's what you're going to do. And now I have that cut out. This will help. There you go. I have that cut out over here. I'm going to do that same thing with the other square on the bottom. Make sure your foam or felt is lined up. And you're going to cut that out. Okay. I wouldn't suggest trying to pull it if you have like a little bit that's still attached. I would just take the time and cut it. So now I have two corners. Okay. Now here's a little bit of the tricky part is you have the rectangle to do. I'm gonna put it a little close so you can see it. So there's my rectangle, and make sure it's above where those two holes are. Okay, you want to make sure you're lined up, your paper and your felt or your foam are lined up right at the edge. And then you're going to cut, make sure if you have to cut a little bit higher than you think you need to, just to make sure you're not cutting those holes. Again, you can square it off, or like I did, I rounded it off a little bit. Okay, and then on the bottom, and I just love the idea that folks will be able to have these around, or give them to somebody and maybe they can keep them as sentimental value. We're now doing the other side. And again, square it off, or you can round it off a little bit. And that's it. So now you actually have a template. You can use this for an envelope, the paper, as well as your own. Keep it together for now. Now let me, and then we'll move on to the next part. But first, let me tell you what to do if you don't have the kit. So I'm going to just use the word paper, because I think most people don't have felt or foam at home. So probably you have paper. If you do have felt or foam, great. It's everything I'm going to tell you to do with the paper is the same thing you would do for the felt or foam. So it's not a problem. I'm just, for ease, I'm going to say paper. So here's what you're going to do. First thing I want you to do is cut a piece of paper about 5 inches by 6 inches. You don't want it like a real like rectangle, but not a square either. So if you think about the shape of this paper, you know, so about 5 by 6 inches. Does not have to be exactly, you don't need a ruler. If you think about maybe the size of your hand, so you could do something about the size of your hand. And Tyler, if you want, you can put maybe these instructions for those who are doing the craft kit by themselves. If you don't mind, if you have a minute to do that, that would be great in the chat. If not, I know we're busy. Okay, busy people. So you're going to cut it to make it about this size. Once you do this size, you can imagine what I'm probably going to ask you to do, right? Same thing I asked everybody else to do. You have a piece of paper. In your case, you just have the piece of paper or the foam or the felt. I don't recommend just freehand cutting it unless you're maybe an older kid or you have an adult helping you. But otherwise, with your paper, what I would do is go ahead and make a little triangle about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, not triangle, square. What was I thinking? A square about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch. You're going to do that on the long opposite side of it. If you did it, do it the other way, it's fine too. So there you go. Use your marker or pen. And then you're going to do a long triangle and a long, oops. Right, let me make sure I'm doing it wrong. Here we go. Triangle, rectangle. So you're going to do here a rectangle, and then another rectangle. I am covering up the part I messed up, but there you go, and a rectangle. Okay, so you essentially will have the exact same things the other folks had. Does anybody have any questions on that step? If anybody's doing this at home, just let us know if you have any questions. But basically, one corner, rectangle, rectangle, square, square. Do make sure that it's flat ways, not like long ways that way. So that it's both of them are flat, parallel to each other. Okay, once you do that, then you're really doing the exact same thing. You're going to cut. Ideally, you do it neater than I'm doing it right now, but it's okay if not. You can always trim things later. The important part is keep the lines at the same height. And there you have the same thing. Look familiar? If you have any questions on that, let me know. I do see that there's one question in the chat about the little charm, which I forgot to mention. I'm going to have to think where I might have gotten those from. To tell you the truth, I think it might have been eBay. But thank you for saying they were cute. I appreciate that. So, and with those, they're going to be like an add-on you can do later. So, okay. So those of you with the kit and without the kit, are cutting. And while they're cutting, I can't help but mention, I talked about that I live near Chinatown. I can't help but mention that I'm kind of hungry. It's a little bit near lunchtime. And I didn't have a big breakfast, so I'm a little bit hungry. And Chinese food is actually one of my favorite things to eat. And like I said, I live right near Chinatown, so I'm thinking of going in for dim sum. And I just had to share because I only realized this recently. I've said, oh, I'm going to go get dim sum a whole bunch of times in my life. And I always meant the wrong thing. I never knew what dim sum really meant. So Ling, do you want to tell us more about what dim sum really means and how wrong I was all these years?
It's okay. Normally people thought dim sum probably just dumplings, right?
That's what I thought.
That's okay. But actually the word dim sum comes from the Cantonese dim sum, appetizer, or literally touch the heart, 点心. So the small portions were designed to merely touch the heart, not satisfy a full appetite. So they're enjoyed as snacks, usually served with tea. Dim sum has evolved over time, and the cuisine is now a vital part of Chinese culture.
It's like an appetizer or a snack. I love it. And I'm glad I know what it means now. I associate dim sum with Chinese food, but actually there's a lot of different styles of what we might say, cooking, Chinese cooking or cooking in China, right?
Yes, there may be, hundreds of different cooking methods. However, people tend to, categorize into 8 main styles of cooking based on the region in China. So the 8 main styles include food from Anhui, Cantonese, Fujian, Hunan, Jiangsu, Shandong, Sichuan, and Zhejiang. So different restaurants, even though they serve Chinese food, may serve different styles, especially in a diverse area like Chinatown that will have so many restaurant options.
That's great to know. I'll have to look and see which style next time I go to a Chinese restaurant, so then I'll know which style of cuisine it is. Well, thank you for telling me that. And although I am hungry, we need to get on with our craft. So we are going to go to our next step. Now that everybody should have, whether you have our kit or you don't have kit, you should have the same basic thing. So let's see what is next. If you have the kit, you're going to remove your paper clip, and we're going to take our felt or foam. Now, if you're cautious, if you really want to make sure this is completely perfect, I suppose you can make your paper one now, but might as well use the felt one or foam one that you have if you want. Either one though will work for this craft, even if you do have our kit, and then you can do the other one later. You want to have the hole punch on your left side. Forgive me, that might be different if you're left-handed. Maybe if you're left-handed, you have it on the right. But let's say, for argument's sake, have it on the left side. And I want you to find your thinnest strip of that double-sided tape. Most of you probably have ones that are exactly the same size, but you can say, for example, in this kit, maybe this one is a little bit thinner. If they are different sizes, take the one that's the thinnest. I want you to fold it over, and you're going to cut it in half. That scissor you have is handy again. Okay, so you're going to cut it in half. You actually only need one of these pieces, the small pieces. So you can set the other one aside, use it for later. I wouldn't throw it out though. So this is a sticker. So this is going to be a little bit hard for younger kids. What I always try to do when I'm working with much younger kids is I'll peel off a piece of it first. Let me see if I can get you in the camera here. Oh, here you go. Okay. Yeah, no, it's better this way. Sorry, I'm working with several cameras, so trying to see which one's best. So I always suggest peel off a little bit, and then you can have your child peel off the other part of it. As soon as you do that, you'll notice this is super sticky. Okay, but just start by peeling off the corner. It may take a little while to do it. As long as you have your craft that your hole punching, okay, is on your left side, then, and actually, hold on, before I do this, I just want to double check that I'm right. Yeah, okay. Then you're going to put your sticker on the tab that's sticking out of the bottom. Okay, and it's going to look like that. So you're just sticking it to the bottom. Make sure the tab is on the left side. I'm sorry, make sure that the holes that were punched are on your left side. And then you're going to stick that sticker to the bottom. If you're working with felt, it's a little bit trickier to do the sticky things. So hold on one second. Let me see. Before we trying to think whether I should have you do both or not first. No, yeah, we're going to do the other sticker too. So take another sticker, and you're going to keep this one the same size that it is. So keep that one the same size. It doesn't matter if it's a thick one or a thin one. And you're going to peel this one too. Again, you've got to get that little corner, try to like pinch it with your nail. You may want to have a grown-up help. Okay. And you're going to peel it off. And this one you're going to put on the left side, the shortest, sorry, the shortest left side. So this little tab that's sticking out. Okay. Okay. So you've got, now it looks like this. You've got one here and one here. Really, for those of you who are using your own kit, you're going to do the same thing, but you're going to use your stick glue. Okay, so you're going to do that and this, but with stick glue. You don't need to fold anything over yet. Just put your stick glue there and put your stick glue there. And if you have white glue, that's fine. Just don't use too much white glue. You can always add more later. But if you use a lot of white glue, especially if you have the felt, it's going to just be an ooey gooey mess because the glue will go right through the foam. So just preferably you have stick glue, a little bit here, a little bit there. And if not, white glue, but just don't do so much right now. Okay. Going back to the people who have the kit, you need to peel off that other side of that double-sided sticker. But if you have the the felt, it's tricky. And I'm going to try to show you, see if I can get it in magnified a little bit. Let's see. Put it near my face. Here we go. Okay. What I do when I'm working with the felt is I'm going to hold the corner down of the sticker and then pull away from it. Okay. Without folding anything over it, I'm going to then do the same thing with the bottom part. Just pull the little corner towards me. So I have the sticky part in my hand, kind of against the felt, and then pull the other part away from it. And again, sorry, close up does not work as well. There we go. So now you have your two pieces. So in some ways, this now looks just like the people who have the glue, the glue, right? It's probably shiny here and shiny here where you have the glue. So it's the same thing. What I want you to do is start with, hold on a second. I want you to flip it over. When you flip it over, be careful not to press down because we don't want you to stick the sticker or the glue to something else. Okay. So flip it over. And you're going to press up the tabs in the other direction. If you have the two, if you have our kit, then you're going to use that corner to kind of stick them together. So you're pushing one side up, and then you're pushing the other side up and over. And they're going to kind of hold each other in place. Let me see if I can give you a close-up of that. There you go. Okay. If you have the glue stick, it's going to work the same way. If you have the white glue, it may not stick together as well. But so right now, these are kind of sticking to each other a little bit, which is good. That's what you want. You're then going to take, this is the fun part. This is basically making the envelope right here. Take the other flap, the bigger flap, and you're going to fold it over so that it goes on top of that sticky. So you want to make sure that the ends are flush. Okay, like a book, you know, nice, the pages are tight together. You're going to flip over the floppy end that had nothing on it onto the sticky, and then press down, or onto the glue if you're working with paper, and press down, and then all the way up the other side and press down as you're doing it. And there you have it. That is ultimately what your envelope is right there.
Cool.
So if you're using the glue stick, if you're using the regular glue, it's all the same. You're basically just going to flop over that big side. This is the same thing in with the foam material. I have one I'm going to slightly undo for you to show you. So this is in foam. Okay, so you have your sticky. So you're going to take the floppier part that doesn't have any sticky attached to it. You haven't glued that part, and fold it over and press hard a lot, especially with the foam. You want to press really hard on both sides. If anybody has any questions on those steps, let me know. There we go. Okay, so that's fantastic. I think you all are working on that. You have your basic envelope. That's great. We got to do some next steps, but
Yeah.
Lacey, anything you want to tell us?
Looks great. You know, Stacy, giving these envelopes as part of special occasions is very much in line with some fundamental values in Chinese culture, particularly filial piety. The idea that being respecting parents and elders and caring for family is very important. Also, benevolence, which means being kind to others.
That's a good one. I like that one. And I know there's a lot of values that are associated with Confucianism that are incredibly important, like loyalty, modesty, restraint, humility, harmony, and the idea that in general, like the collective good is extremely important and often, or at least sometimes, matters more than one's individual or personal gain. That you do things for what the greater good will be for folks in your community or your family, or who are part of that decision making that you need to do. And these are really lovely values. It's really so surprising that a culture with such great values 150 years ago, and it doesn't seem that long ago when we talk about 2,000 years ago for some other things in Chinese culture. 150 years ago, America had something that was called, passed something called the Chinese Exclusion Act, which was the first and only law that essentially excluded an entire culture. So it's amazing thinking about, you know, what wonderful things Chinese and Chinese Americans have done that this law would have been created.
Yes, thankfully that has become history, and we have come a long way. In 1990, about 30 years ago, President George H.W. Bush designated May as Asian Pacific American Heritage Month to show support for the Asian American society community, and it is celebrated every year. The month of May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the US and to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869 May. The majority of the workers who laid the tracks were Chinese immigrants. Nowadays, more and more places are offering amazing Lunar New Year celebrations, as well to help raise awareness about Chinese culture, in particular, like this event. Thank you. But still, there is a lot of misunderstanding and sadly hate. In the last 2 years, there are over 11,000 incidents of people being verbally or physically abusive to Asian people in the United States.
That is horrible. That's terrible.
It is. But then you see diversity embraced, and that fills you with joy and hope. For example, where would you expect to see the most Chinese English dual language immersion programs in the United States?
I mean, that's an easy one. I think New York or California, big coastal cities.
Not actually.
No.
20% of all dual language programs in the US are in Utah.
I did not see that coming. I would not have expected that. Well, then it's a good lesson that we shouldn't assume that everybody who looks Asian isn't from the United States. That's often a stereotype that people think about people who look Asian in some way, when actually here in Utah, 20% in the United States, 20% of the immersion programs are in Utah. Who would have expected that? And really learning about the culture and learning Mandarin to I mean, that's wonderful. We're almost done with the craft. I know we're a little tight on time, but I think we're going to get through everything we wanted to get through today. I'm just going to try to hurry it up a little bit for everybody, okay? So we have our envelope. This is the basics of what we're doing. And by the way, thank you, Ling, for giving us such important information. And I'm sorry to rush through it to get to this stuff too. We had, there's some instructions in there for the cutting. Maybe Tyler, I saw somebody ask about instructions. Maybe Tyler can put the information about the glue, but to be frank, it might be hard to kind of understand the instructions. They're really specific, written down. But if Tyler can't do that, hopefully Tyler can. If Tyler can't, you will get the video after the event. So you'll be able to do it then. And you can still do this part, believe it or not, even if you haven't caught up with the other pieces of it. So this part's going to be the fancy part. How fancy do you want it? What do you want to do to make your craft fancy? So I want you to take your string, and this is for everybody. So everybody is basically going to be doing, well, actually similar things right now. Before you take your string, if you don't have the craft kit, you're going to want to cut 2 holes into your material. So let's say you're working with paper. You want to cut 2 holes into your paper. Okay, so let's say you have a hole punch. You're going to take the longest tab that you have, and you're going to just punch 2 holes in it. Okay, truthfully, you can take a pencil and poke them through if you want, make them a little bit bigger. But if you're a very young child, you probably don't want to work with pencils like that. So maybe ask a grown-up. But basically, you want 2 holes. Okay, the holes could be smaller, right? So this is another hole punch I have. This is the hole punch we used for this craft. You can see the difference. Oops, you can see the difference in size in those holes. So whatever size holes you have, you're going to, and I told you to make it in this. You're supposed to make it in this, but that's fine. So if you didn't make your holes yet, correction, you're making it in this part, not on the tab part. You're making it in this part. If you did make the holes, don't worry, we're just reversing where the button goes. So it's fine. It's not going to be a problem at all. So wherever you put your holes, okay? And if you have your kit, you have your holes already in there, whether it's on the foam or not. You're now going to take your string, okay? You probably have too long a piece of string. You're going to cut it eventually, but pick your button that you want. Like I said, some folks have stars, some folks have other interesting things. So you're going to take your button and pick which button you like. And if you want your made with love tag, you can put that on as well, or you can put that on after, or you can use it to wrap this with or something later on. But you're going to basically put your string through your button. Okay, now I'm having a hard time because the end of my button is frayed. I know you can't really see it, but it's a little frayed. So you can do two things. If it's frayed and it won't go through easily, just cut it. Usually that will be enough to make that work. And then look how easy it goes in even to a smaller button. Or frankly, you can just do this. And it also tends to work. Okay. And see, again, it's going through that button. So pick your desired button. I'm going to pick the star because it's easier to do. And I'm going to first put my string through one side. And then I'm going to put the other end of the string to the other side. You may have to cut it again on the other side. By the way, Ling, do I have an echo? Do you hear an echo?
No.
Okay, good. Just wanted to make sure. I have a little echo on my end. Okay. So here we go. So you have your button and you're going to put it through your hole. Obviously you want the button on the outside. So you're going to put the string through your holes. Hopefully the holes in your felt or your foam. Felt's a little bit harder, admittedly. But you're going to go ahead and put one string through one hole, one string through the other hole. I don't know if you can see me doing this, but put one string through one hole, one string through the other hole. On foam, this is a little bit easier. And then you're going to pull your button right up. Okay. You can tie your button in two ways. Either you can tie a regular knot, or it may be easier if you do one of these kinds of knots where you take both strings together, wrap it around itself, pull it through, and then you have to push that knot as far down as possible. If you're older, if you're an older kid, this might be an easier one to do. And then you can tie your knot that way. And then you have your button. Otherwise, you can tie your knot a more traditional way is to just take the two strings, make a loop, put one end of the string through the loop, pull it tight. Okay. And I would tie two of those, whichever knot you're doing. And then you can cut off what's left of the end of that string. And there you go. So that was the same whether you had our kit or not. You would do the same thing as long as you had the button and the string and the hole punch. For the top part, and again, this is reversed. So if you had made the holes here, then you would now have your button on top. That's fine. So you'll do the next step I'm telling you, you'll do down here instead. And I'll give an example of that. If you did do the button on the bottom side, you're going to fold. This is a little tricky. You're going to fold your envelope in half this way. So it looks very thin and long. Take just the tip. Make sure you don't accidentally do it on a puffy side. Just the tip that's pretty flat. And you're going to take your scissor. So I'm going to do this again, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Take your envelope, fold it in half long ways like this. So it's very thin. Hold on to just the tip where it's really thin. It's that little flap on top, not the puffy part. And you're going to make a little, might say incision, but basically you're going to cut it with your scissor just a little. I recommend doing it less than you think you need to. And then test it out. Does the button fit through the hole? And there you go. There's your button. Okay. So we have
wonderful.
Thank you. What else do we want to talk
next time? So
Yeah.
this year I purchased. There's some Chinese words there. You probably see 大吉大利 means good luck and good wealth. Happy New Year, everyone. The year of the rabbit this year.
And that is perfect timing. And there's how many symbols are there for different animals for the Lunar New Year calendar?
12.
12, excellent. And I remember lots of animals that are discussed I remember watching Ni Hao Kai Lan with my kids. That was a show about Chinese culture, but also a lot of educational components to it. And they talked about different words like Ni Hao means hello, and Xie Xie means thank you. And also all the animals that were in that show, pandas and dragons and so many animals that were also on those 12 animals from the calendar. So we have rabbits for you. We'll move on to the next part of the craft is the stickers. So if you want the big sticker, so we're almost done here. If you want the big sticker, it's easy. You're going to take the big sticker, peel it off, put it on the front. You have your adorable envelope, and you can call it a day, right? If you want to use the small sticker, I've got a treat for you. And this is the last part of the craft, and then we can close out. So we might be a couple of minutes late, but hopefully not too late. This square, if you want to use a small sticker, this is what I say to do, is this square is the same double-sided tape. So you're going to take one part of it and peel it, okay? And then you're going to put the sticker onto, if you haven't used the big one, I would use, and I'm going to take this off just to show you, put it on the front side. Okay, and this is where the glitter comes in. If you don't like glitter, don't do this part, just use the big sticker, or you can use the small sticker as is. If you like glitter, this is where this comes in. Take your double-sided sticker, and for those of you who have glue, stick glue, you can use that. You can use white glue. Again, not too much white glue, but make a square shape. If you're using white glue, if you're using your stick glue, kind of spread it out so it's about a square. You can do it a big circle if you want. I'd say about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches. But, you know, basically a little bit smaller than the envelope width. And you're going to peel the other side. Again, if you're using foam, it's easier. If you're using felt, hold on to the bottom corner, peel that down, hold on to it, and then pull the other side. So now it's double-sided. Make sure you have some kind of a container, because glitter gets really messy fast and it's not good for animals. So you want to have it enclosed container. Even just a piece of paper is fine. You're going to take your glitter and pour it out. Pour it out. No, mine doesn't want to come out. There you go. Oops, I'm sorry. I'm in a rush. You want to take your sticker first. Apologies. It's fine. It'll still look good. Put your sticker over the sticky part. That's what I get for doing this in a rush. Put your sticker over the sticky part. Then take the glitter. Apologies for that. And pour it out. And push it down a little bit. Kind of tap it so the spare glitter gets off onto that paper. And then you'll have your, see if I get you a good view of it. There you go. Your sticker is going to, your rabbit sticker will be in the glitter. There's a nice little square there for you. So, and it works the same way if you have the stick glue or the white glue. And even though I had put the sticker, the glitter on accidentally, the sticker can just go right on top of it. If for some reason the sticker falls off, you can just glue that on and wait till it dries before you pick it up. And there you go. So I'm sorry to rush us through the end of it. Be careful with the glitter that you have everywhere. Ling, do you want to tell us anything else before we close out?
I just want to say Happy New Year. May the year of the rabbit brings everyone love, peace, health, and prosperity to all.
Thank you very much, Ling. Jessica, take us out.
Oh, if I can, okay, in conclusion, okay, let me find it. Hold on. Thank you so much, Stacy and Ling, for your wonderful crafting event. And celebrating Chinese culture is not a one-time thing. The topic instead is an ongoing conversation. So please immerse yourself in Chinese culture whenever you can. Additionally, consider doing a weekly Chinese event. Get yourself informed. Visit a Chinese American museum. Even the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York has Chinese, has a big Chinese wing, or Buddhist temple, or even go to a local Chinatown, watch a Chinese documentary film. Okay. Learn more about celebrities and famous people who are American Chinese, like Bowen Yang of Saturday Night Live, and Aquafina, who's half Chinese and half Korean. She's a comedian, actress, rapper, or our email will include brief thoughts about the event. Please, a survey about brief thoughts for the event. Please fill it out, and please take a moment to do a quick poll. And
It's our first time doing a poll on one of these events, by the way, so we're very excited. We appreciate your participation in doing the poll. It should have populated on your screen. So if you get a chance to do that, that would be great. But we can close. You can close this out anyway, Jessica.
okay. We will share anything. Will you share anything you've heard someone else say about Chinese culture? What's the thing that stands out to you as a difference of this event? Our next celebrate and create events for children is about indivisible, not
Invisible. I always get caught on that one too.
Invisible disabilities, which will take place on March 25th from 11 to 12. Children will be creating a journal. Look for more events. Go to informyourcommunity.org to check out any event. And we also have an adult crafting event, Craftism, which is like craft and activism event, which will take place on January 26th from 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, which will be a knitting event and discussing learning topics about homelessness or helplessness. Tickets and materials are free. And please also considering donating $5 to this event to help us cover supplies and shipping. Thank you so much for coming. And please remember, this weekend is Martin Luther King weekend too. So go out and do something for that too. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jessica. Thank you, Ling, for joining us. Thank you, everybody.